Moffatt's flower company has been around for a very long time. It was the first and is the largest commercial rose grower in the country. The business has managed to survive a fire and 2 earthquakes. Steve Moffatt has been involved with roses since 1974. His philosophy is one of continuous innovation and improvement.
We've got a good team. We've got people that have worked for us for 37 years, and that is our greatest strength. We're relatively close to the airport. We have always looked outwardly for technology, how we should be doing things. Weaknesses, probably our biggest weakness was our reliance on fossil fuels, and we recently got out of that. We're now burning wood. There was an opportunity through the Energy Efficiency Conservation Authority. They were offering a grant at that stage to get out of fossil fuels, and we could see that was the way forward. And we have converted to burn wood. What's happening on this side is that we are rebuilding a greenhouse. There was a structure exactly on this foundation, and we lost it in the September earthquake. On the property, it was the only one that actually did come down. So we're doing a rebuild on it with a different design. This structure's come in from Holland. The earthquake has had a big impact on us, and that was on top of a fire that we had on the 1st of January last year. So we just got over the fire and got involved in an earthquake, and the September one was the one that really knocked us around. February, we dodged a bullet. Well, they're growing in coconut fibre. It's a good product. It has very good moisture-holding properties, but without precluding oxygen. We've done good things for the Sri Lankan industry because it was a waste product for them. So now it's used all over the world, and it's organic, so it means that we can recycle it. We've tried a lot of different growing media, and yeah, this is the one that works for us. This water you can see trickling back here is after it's been through the crop. It goes into holding tanks and then goes through a UV filter, and then the process starts again. In terms of pest and disease management, a lot of it these days is done via a computer, and the computer is controlling our environment. So we can control humidity a lot more than we have done in the past. And that's, if you can keep your humidities down, it solves 90% of your fungal problems. So it's managing in terms of heating, judiciously using heat and ventilation management. And we also, to control our mildews, we evaporate sulphur. If you burn sulphur, you get sulphur dioxide in 2 parts per million and you can defoliate the crop. But by evaporating it, settles on the leaf, and we can control our mildew. Well, to get a rose ready for Valentine's Day, a little bit after Christmas, we'll come back and we'll cut this rose back. Now, you can see that it hasn't flowered yet. So, in essence, we're going to throw away 50% of this crop to get a rose to flower at the time. And then we'll see, of course, I'm going to sacrifice this one. So this bud is going to now take off from here. And if we've done it right, that's going to flower in the week before Valentine's Day. So it's cost us 1 flush off this crop to produce this flower. But of course, another 8 weeks later, we're going to get another flower from that, and there's no Valentine's Day. And we've got the whole crop in that flush situation, so we've got to go back and stop a lot of that material to get it out of that flush cycle. So it's a relatively expensive, it's cost us 2.5 blooms, in essence, to produce that 1 bloom for Valentine's Day. We work with a Dutch consultant, and his specialty is roses and Phalaenopsis orchids. Phalaenopsis orchids are probably the leading house plant in the world. There's a couple of little tricks to it because it's an epiphyte, and normally life would live on the side of a tree under the canopy in the forest. So it can take a lot of rain, but it can't take wet feet. So if the plant's sitting in a tray with water in it, you're going to kill it in 5 minutes. But apart from that, and keep it out of direct sunlight, it's a cracker. You'd get, 6 months out of a flower like that. The varieties we grow on this property are, if we're in Holland, for argument's sake, this property's 2 hectares. A grower would probably have 1 variety and possibly 2, and we've probably got 20. Because we're supplying the market, and a customer of ours might want 10 bunches of reds and 5 bunches of whites for a wedding, whatever. So we have to supply that range. So in some ways we're not as efficient because every variety does have little differences in its temperature or growing requirements. You think you're going to get on the road next week?
Oh, definitely. Yep. I think we're going to start doing the South Island and get around all the supermarkets and wholesalers and florists. Yeah, for sure. For us, we're competing against cheap labour in third world countries, so it's hard to compete there. So it's easier for us to concentrate on a fresh product for New Zealanders. So we're providing New Zealanders with a premium product. We supply to florists, so directly to florists and wholesalers, and we're supplying directly into supermarkets. So essentially, we are packaging and have it customer ready for the supermarkets, which helps them, saves them having to have high labour costs.
We compete against imports from India to a certain extent, and there's some concerns there. We're very happy to compete with them on a level playing field. There's some biosecurity issues that we don't feel particularly comfortable with. There's over 80% of that material comes in has a pest or disease on it, so that product then gets fumigated. The pest doesn't actually get identified if the importer elects to say, well, we'll fumigate it to get it through the process quickly. And it does mean there's a couple of pretty nasty little thrips. There's a chili thrip and thrip palmy that the chili thrip, for argument's sake, has got 100 different hosts, including kiwi fruit. So if it did get out, it would be devastating for the country. There's always a place for good florists, and that has been the background of our growth, and we greatly appreciate the florist business. But we do see growth in the supermarket business. It's just what's happening around the world. The growers need to do a better job of getting that product, getting the stores. There's still some work to do with them. They have got to realise that there's a dollar in them in floral, and they do a better job, and the growers have got to do a better job.
This program was made with funding from New Zealand On Air.